What's up, YouTube? It's Ryan from AnnihilatorMTG here, and I'm back again with some more Modern. This week, we're going to be playing an old favorite of mine, Blue-Red Through the Breach. I haven't actually played this deck in several years, but I feel like in 2021, we have the opportunity to both tune the build and change some of the play patterns to better increase our chances of winning. The main upgrade that piques my interest is the inclusion of Force of Negation. Now, at first glance, this card actually looks somewhat lukewarm in a deck like this. However, when we remember that Through the Breach is indeed an instant, things get very interesting. In matchups where stack-based control is going to be a factor, we can cast the Through the Breach during our opponent's end step. This bypasses the end step check on Through the Breach and allows us to untap with a creature still in play. Not only this, but by casting it on their turn, we're able to use the alternate casting costs of Force of Negation. Generally, this gives us one layer of protection for the combo. And in sideboard games, we can incorporate things like Mystical Dispute if we're willing to wait a turn to add a second layer of protection in addition to the Force. There are two glaring problems that I foresee with a deck like this. First and foremost, 3 mana Teferi keeps us playing at sorcery speed, which is a huge problem. And secondly, the card Tail's End can create some wildly awkward situations where we leave our opponent with a small amount of life, sure, but they keep all of their permanents and we lose our graveyard to the Eldrazi trigger. Either way, I'm excited to see how this goes, so let's get into the first match, not waste any time. Alrighty, looks like we found our opponent here. Best of luck to you, my friend. And this hand is, like, pretty bad, all things considered. But with that said, if our opponent's playing even remotely slowly, this should be fine. Generally speaking, I like to keep, 6 or 7 card hands, especially with decks like these, but I guess we'll have to see. Our opponent goes Bloodstained Mire, that's fine. We draw for turn, there's a Steam Vents, that's not great. Let's go Delta, we'll pass. Our opponent cracks the Bloodstained Mire, gets a Blood Crypt, puts it in tapped, they untap, they draw for turn. Alright, let's see what you got, opponent. They go Wooded Foothills, they crack it immediately. They get an Overgrown Tomb, okay. And here comes a Wrenn and 6. Unfortunate. Let's crack the Delta. Let's go Steam Vents. Let's Opt in Response. Remand. I guess we can put that on top. And then we'll hard pass. Our opponent upticks the Wrenn and 6, and they pass as well. We draw a Snapcaster Mage. That's pretty good. Let's go Island. We shall pass. See what our opponent does here. They get their fetch back. Once again, they play one of them. Then they go Kroxa. Okay. Do we want to remand? I don't think we do. We'll let them play it, and then I think we're just gonna ditch the mountain, I want to say. All right, let's do that. We'll take a little bit of damage, but that's fine. We shall pass. We draw for turn. Mystic Sanctuary, okay. Let's go Steam Vents untapped. So now we have a lot of pretty compelling options here. We can go Charm at the end of their turn to draw 2. We can just hard counter whatever they play. We can remand. There's certainly a lot to do here. They crack their Bloodstained Mire. They go Stomping Ground, tapped, okay. They uptick their Wrenn and 6 once again. They play their land. I think now's a decent time to go Charm, draw 2. We get an Abrade and a Mountain. That's pretty bad. Can't say I'm happy about that. There's another Charm. Let's go Mystic Sanctuary, get our Charm back. Okay. I think we probably have to jam the Snapcaster Mage at the end of the turn, at the end of their turn specifically, just so we can get an attack in on the Wrenn and 6. They can then downtick and just kill our Snap, which is a problem, but it does keep them from getting to their ultimate, so maybe that's worth it. Either way, they get their fetch back, they play it, now they're jamming things. Chandra. Alright. Let's remand it. We get our Charm. Let's go Snap. We'll target Remand, I guess. Then we untap, draw for turn. Another Snapcaster Mage, that's good. Let's go Delta. We'll move to attacks. We'll swing in. This should slow them down a decent bit. They crack their Bloodstained Mire. They get a Swamp. Then they go Fatal Push. Yeah, I don't think we can let that happen. Let's counter. They should have just done that on their turn. I don't know why they waited for us to untap. Either way, their Wrenn and 6 is down to 5, potentially 4, depending on what they do here. Here comes a Chandra. I assume they're just going to uptick. That would seem smart to me, but who knows? They do. Chandra. Interesting. They go Blood Chief's Thirst. That's fine, I suppose. They get their land back. So we're in a fair bit of trouble here. We kind of just need to play to our outs of getting our combo, and that's it. We can't really grind them down because they've got 2 incredible planeswalkers as it is. We could jam Snap. That's an interesting idea, although I don't think that's really going to yield anything particularly positive. Okay, let's go Delta. Let's get a Sanctuary. Let's get that Charm back. We'll hit yes. Let's go Flooded Strand. And now we just hope we can draw into Through the Breach Emrakul. They crack the Verdant Catacombs. It is also possible to win with bolts and stuff, but we would have to draw quite a few of them. Not saying that's not going to happen, but still, that would take some doing. So they uptick their Chandra again. They hit a Bloodstained Mire, dealing 2 damage to us. They jam a Cloythus. Interesting. I don't think that matters for what we're trying to do. They uptick their Renin 6, and it looks like they're passing. Okay. Well, let's crack the Flooded Strand. I think we can safely just go Island. Then we draw 2. That's interesting. We're getting close. Let's draw 2 again. Oh boy, that's a little bit unfortunate. Let's untap. We draw Spell Snare. That's not great. That is not exactly what I would call great. So let's see here. Let's play a land. I'm not entirely sure where we go from here. They uptick the Chandra. They ult the Renin 6. I guess ulting the Renin 6 really is the worst part about this. I guess we can go like cast the Awakening, get rid of most things probably. We'll go any order. Okay, that's sort of helpful. Let's see here. What do we want to do? We can go Snap Remand with Force Backup. That's pretty good. They're going to deal 2 damage to us, draining. Then they can deal 1, then 2. So they're going to deal up to 5, assuming they don't have a bolt. We can force the bolt. So as long as they don't have a way to kill us, I think we're fine. This is going to be very close. They crack the Verdant Catacombs. Now, if they have a bolt right now, and they don't, then we'd be in a lot of trouble because we couldn't force. But now that it's their turn, things are a little bit different. They get rid of a charm, which is probably a bad idea because we can't go snap charm right now. So I don't really understand why they're doing that instead of remand. That seems like a mistake on their part. They uptick Renin 6. I assume they're not going to play that. Good. Then they go Liliana the Veil. We actually don't care about that. Let's dump a island. So far, so good. They ult the Renin 6. Then they go Croxa. Sure. We go Snap, target the Remand, play the Remand. Okay. Do we actually have this? This is incredible. So we go Through the Breach, Emrakul, and then swing for 17. Incredible. We beat a Chandra about to ult, a Renin 6 that did ult, a Cloythus, and a Lily. Okay. So I think that the Aether Gusts are definitely in here for sure. These will be quite good. I think the Abrade is pretty darn weak, especially in this type of matchup. We definitely want the Spell Snare because Renin 6 is an absolute menace. Now, what else do we cut? Maybe we cut forces because what we're trying to do is not necessarily counter something that can win on the spot, but we're kind of grinding them down, trying to have a battle of attrition. And if we're forcing, we kind of lose out on that because we have to pitch a card. So we're essentially 2-for-1ing ourselves. I think that's probably correct. We'll give it a shot. I don't think we saw a single Thoughtseize or Inquisition in that matchup, which is just extremely lucky on our part. And unfortunately, our luck has run out because this hand is certainly not keepable. So we're going to have to ship this one back. Geez, this one isn't that good either. And quite honestly, they could just take the opt. That's rough. I think we have to keep though. Let's keep and ship the bolt and just hope that they don't take the opt. They also went down to 6 and they go Inquisition. This will be very interesting. They take a charm. That is just weird. We get a Sulphur Falls, so we're back in the game. You'd think they'd take a Gust or something. They go Spell Bomb. That's troubling. Let's opt in response. If we get a force here, like our 1 force, I don't know if this is actually worth it. I think we have to take the land. Although, with this charm, this might as well not exist. So I think we'll put that on the bottom, actually. All right, so they get their Spell Bomb. Then they play a Raging Ravine. They've got 3 cards left in hand. We draw for turn. Nice. A Delta. That's very good. I hate to say it, but I feel safe here. Let's go Sulphur Falls. Now, the Snapcaster Mage is going to be significantly worse. There's no denying that. But the thing is, we can always just use it as, you know, an attacker to deal with their Planeswalkers, among other things. This is a very interesting position to be in. All right, we'll pass. They draw. 4 cards in hand. They go Blackcleave Cliffs. And wow, are they just passing? No way. Can't say that really makes much of any sense. We get another Polluted Delta. That's just phenomenal. We are lucking out here with these lands. Absolutely. So I think we're just going to pass here, most likely. They cycle a land. Okay. They draw for turn. 4 cards in hand. They play a Bloodstained Mire. I wonder if we're going to see a Chandra or like a Bloodbraid Elf, or will we see nothing? That really doesn't make any sense. Okay, I wonder what kind of hand they kept, other than a bad one. Let's go Steam Vents. Then we draw 2. There's a Force, there's an Opt. That's good. That's great, in fact. We draw for turn. Let's go Delta. And now we can hold up Cryptic with Force backup. That's just absurd. They crack their Bloodstained Mire. We can also just go Hardcast Force if we want to, and then like Opt at the end of turn. It really depends on what they play. They go Wooded Foothills. And don't tell me they're just passing again. Let's crack the Delta. I think I want a basic here just in case. We go Opt. Steam Vents, don't need it. We'll put that on the bottom. There's a Bolt. I think what I want to do here is just force the Snapcaster Mage plus Opt and see if they blow up the Spell Bomb. I wouldn't say Opt is necessarily worth it, but it's the kind of thing where it's like, if they let us do this, that's just great for us. And they do. Here's 2 red mana, 3 mana. Boil? Ooh, Boil's an instant. Okay, I forgot about that. Let's go Force. Pitch the Gust. Okay, that's fun. There's an Opt. Sure, we can draw that. And it seems like our opponent has disconnected. That's fun. And it looks like our opponent actually did Rage Quit. That is not a good look, I must say. Either way, GG's. Alrighty, looks like we found our opponent here. Best of luck to you, my friend, and this hand should be good enough. Wish we had some 2-drop action, but that's fine. Our opponent goes Grove. That's interesting. Can't say I really understand that. Let's see here. Let's go Steam Vents tapped. All right, see what you got. Is this some kind of Living End variant? It is. Interesting. They exile a Simian Spirit Guide just to cycle again. Well, this should be fine. They cycle a Street Wraith. They crack a Bloodstained Mire. They go Stomping Ground. They exile another Simian Spirit Guide. They go Violent Outburst. Sure. Looks like they got their Living End. So let's go Force, Pitch, Cryptic. 1 Living End down. I think they run 3 or 4. I think they only run 3. So we only really need to dodge 2 more. Let's go Island. And since we have a Remand, I actually feel like we're in a pretty good spot, all things considered. They play a Forest. What's great about this is if they don't immediately start going for the combo, we can just play our 3rd Island, which we will do just that, and then threaten with Mystic Sanctuary next turn. And from there, we're just basically fine. They go Gemstone Caverns. Sure. Think we could probably get away with going for a Bolt here. All right, they're down to 12. We untap and draw. There's a Cryptic. Interesting. Let's crack the Delta. Let's go Mystic Sanctuary. Then we go Force. What have we here? Violent Outburst. Okay. There's a Living End. Now let's see here. We go counter draw, right? Or do we do counter return? We could probably do counter return. All right, Living End number 2 is taken care of. We'll hit yes. And now we just got to survive. Smart of them to do the Violent Outburst on our turn, so we couldn't do anything with another Force. And they scoop it up. Okay. Interesting. So, do we want surgicals or just the lantern? Surgical is fine, but it's more of a spot thing than anything else. Spell Snare, absolutely useless. A Braid, probably useless. Soul Guide lanterns fit right in, which is great. Do we really care about removing anything else? I think kind of no, weirdly enough. I almost don't even want the surgicals. You could say that the bolts aren't really necessary, but we can use them to close out the game faster, which theoretically speaking does keep them from finding another Cascade spell to get to their Living End, so it's really more of a toss-up than anything else. Alrighty, so this hand should be absolutely perfect for what we're trying to do. We have a Force, which does allow us to be a little bit aggressive with our draw spells, and we have a piece of the combo if need be. Although, if I'm entirely honest with you guys, I think that this is definitely one of those matchups where we win because our opponent runs out of ways to actually close out the game, rather than us winning by just jamming Emrakul's. I think if we counter a couple of Living Ends, our opponent's going to get a little bit discouraged and then just scoop them up. That's my guess anyways. I think you probably could play a blue variant of this and run Forces, since those also cost 3, but that doesn't seem to be what our opponent's doing, so I'm not really sure how they beat us if we have a Force in hand. Either way, we find a Charm. We're likely going to opt during their end step, which is fine. I guess their way to win is going for a Violent Outburst on our turn, which means that we likely want to get a Remand if possible. They cycle, they play a Forest, we opt, Island, we'll put that on the bottom. There's an Emrakul. Okay, well, that's interesting. We draw, Island, let's play it. So let's see if they do anything here, or if they just cycle. They cycle 1, and then they untap. Okay. They've got 6 cards in hand. They play a Grove. Here's a Fulminator Mage. That's unfortunate. Okay. I think here we're just going to jam a snap, just get a creature on board. They destroy our land, that's whatever. We'll have a creature on board and we can just start swinging. All right, let's play an island. Luckily for us, Fulminator Mage can only hit non-basics, so we'll just stick with islands for now. We'll swing in. In fact, one thing we could do is just crack the Delta and get another basic island and just say, hey, we're not even going to concern ourselves with the Through the Breach at all this game, unless we get like a basic mountain or something. All right, so our opponent goes Overgrown Tomb, and they shock it in, which is a little bit concerning. They cycle a Ceradon. Looks like they're going for an outburst, but they've decided to change their mind. So I think they've caught on. They know not to do it on their turn. They should do it now. So we'll go Delta. Now there's absolutely zero window in which we're necessarily worried about them going for a violent outburst, because now we have the fetch land, which can be moved around, but we'll just respond whatever they do. We won't preemptively crack this because then they can respond to that instead. They should have done this during our upkeep. Yeah, this is a mistake. Let's crack the Delta. Let's get another basic. They play Living End. And I think we should probably just go counter with Charm. Now, if they just have another Cascade spell in hand, they've got us. They go Demonic Dread. Okay. So now we're going to be looking for top deck Cryptic, most likely. Even then, that's going to be a little bit difficult. Well, we'll see. Flooded Strand, interesting, although I don't think we can really do anything with that. Let's see. Do we have any way to get around what they're doing? I don't think so we'll scoop it up. So I think we'll bring in the Surgicals now just to be a little bit more aggressive. Let's see what else. I don't think it necessarily matters. I think we'll cut maybe 2 bolts. We'll try this. Alrighty, we'll go first. There's a Remand, which is pretty good. Double Breach is a bit unfortunate. I think here we should most likely mulligan, because having a second breach is effectively a 6-card hand anyways. So we'll try again. There's a Force. I like that. Now, the big question is, do we ship the Emrakul or do we ship the Jace? In terms of what can be played, it's probably better to ship the Emrakul. However, when are we really going to be tapping out for Jace? Probably not often, but it is fuel for a Force, so I think we probably ship the Emrakul. So we go Island and pass. They play a Vernic Catacombs. We'll hard pass. All right, we draw. We get a Valakut Awakening. That's okay. Let's go Sulphur Falls. They crack the Vernic Catacombs. They get a Blood Crypt, untapped, cycle a Street Wraith down to 15. Then they cycle. They play a Bloodstained Mire. Sure. Think we just go snap for 0 value, start putting pressure on our opponent here. Flooded Strand. That's fine. Let's go Flooded Strand. We move to combat, swing in for 2 with a snap. They crack a Bloodstained Mire, get a Stomping Ground tapped. Let's crack a Flooded Strand. They cycle in response. We get an island. Our opponent untaps. They go Swamp. Then they go Fulminator Mage. Interesting. Sure. Let's go Valakut Awakening. Think I want to get rid of the Mountain and the Jace. We'll go any order. Nice. Now this is very good, actually. We draw for turn. There's a snap. All right, we'll move to combat. We swing in with a snap. Let's see if they trade or if they sack. They sack it. Okay. Let's see here. I think weirdly enough, we go Charm, draw 2. Surgical. Okay, that's pretty good. And we get a Steam Vents for our troubles. Let's play it tapped. Okay, not bad. All we gotta do is survive this turn, I feel. They go Demonic Dread, sure. They cascade into Living End. Let's go Force Pitch Snap. Since the Living End is in exile, I think I'm just gonna Surgical the Demonic Dread. And they have one in hand, beautiful. And a Living End in hand as well, that's effectively a dead card. Let's take a look here. Beast Within, that's fun. Fulminator. Now we just gotta dodge the outbursts, which should be pretty easy, all things considered. They might just start jamming the Spirit Guides at this phase of the game, or just hardcore suspending the Living End itself. They might do that as well. Oh, I forgot to exile the 1 Demonic Dread from their graveyard. That's my bad. We draw an Opt. All right, let's play the Opt. Snapcaster Mage, probably not. We'll put that at the bottom. Another Breach, you've got to be kidding. Goodness. We'll swing in. We got them down to 10. They draw for turn. And they just concede just like that? Wow. I didn't expect that. I assumed they were just going to jam the Spirit Guides or suspend the Living End, but all right, GG's. Alrighty, looks like we found our opponent here. Best of luck to you, my friend. And we're playing against a Yorion deck. Interesting. All right. Well, that could be a myriad of things, and I'm not super pumped about that, but I think this hand should be fine for what we're trying to do. Either way, they go Windswept Heath. Okay. I've seen a lot of 4 or 5 color decks with Yorion. I've seen a lot of Super Friends, that kind of thing. That's interesting. Oath of Nissa, see what they get. Ren and 6, how fun. That'll be a strong start. All right. Spell Snare off the top would be absolute bliss. I don't think we're going to get it, but that's fine, and we do not. Let's go Flooded Strand first. Very likely to get a basic island and then go opt, try to fish for some kind of Force of Negation, and then take out the Ren and 6 if possible. They go basic mountain, Ren and 6. Here we go. We snag an island. We go opt, cryptic command, put that on the bottom, Valakut Awakening. Nope. All right. So they're going to have basically the perfect mana base, which is really annoying, actually, but that's okay. They get their land back. We draw another Through the Breach. I'm not a fan. Let's go Sulphur Falls. And I think we're just going to pass. Part of me says maybe jam the Snapcaster Mage to start putting pressure on the Ren and 6, but without getting any value out of that, I just feel like we're going to be super far behind. So it is what it is, I guess. They crack a Windswept Heath. They get a Forest. Interesting with the basics. They return it. Interesting stuff. No Uro. There's an Emrakul. Okay, that's good. Let's go Steam Vents untapped. At this point, we can just go Valakut Awakening to kind of curate what we have in our hand and try to go for a Breach on their turn to leverage a Force of Negation. The only thing we really need to keep is probably Breach and Emrakul. We can probably get rid of even the lands because we're likely going to see some out of the 5 cards or 4 cards that we have from the Valakut Awakening. But either way, they go Growth Spiral, sure. That's certainly a good one, because now they can just crack the fetch again and curate their draw a little bit, or limit their ability to draw lands, specifically. They get a Hallowed Fountain. I must say, I am infinitely jealous of our opponent's value. That is just super nice. They uptick again. They replay the Windswept Heath, and let's see what they do. 4 mana, there's a Felidar Guardian. That's interesting. And they're going to blink the Oath of Nissa. That's smart. All right, let's see what they get. They get a Steam Vent, sure. Let's jam the Valakut Awakening. We'll ship these 4 cards. We'll hit okay. We'll get 5. Yeah, that's a little bit better. There's a Remand. I like that. Let's go Sulphur Falls. Now, there's absolutely zero reason for us to tap out for this Jace, especially if they're going to be playing a Saheeli. We need to be able to deal with that. Either way, they crack the Windswept Heath, getting a Breeding Pool. Okay. So this is just some kind of 4-color cat combo with Ren and 6 and Yorion and all this value. Can't say I blame them for playing that. Looks like a lot of fun. They uptick the Ren and 6 once again. There's a Teferi. I think I want to remand that. We get a Lightning Bolt. Very interesting. They play a Plains and having an Oath of Nissa, so they don't actually need to worry about what colors they tap for, if I'm not mistaken. Cool. All right. So do we Lightning Bolt now, targeting them, targeting the Ren and 6? We can't target the Teferi under any circumstances, so I think we're just gonna bolt the Ren and 6 just in case. So if they have a Force of Negation, we're dead. They uptick. They swing in. If they don't have a Force, we just win. We know that they have a land in hand. That's the Steam Vents. Let's go Through the Breach. Will they have a Force? Will they have a Pact? I don't know if this deck plays that. I can imagine it doesn't. We get our Emrakul. Okay. And they scoop it up. I did not expect that to go as well as it did. How about that? So, what do we want to do here? Mystical Dispute's probably in. A Braid is probably not good enough. Spell Snare is likely low impact, comparatively speaking, and everything else seems fine. So I think I want to go like this and just see if we can do that again. The one thing I will say about this type of deck is it is certainly frail in the sense that it needs both cards in hand in order to do anything in terms of actually completing the combo. But what's great about it is when we do have that, it's really not complicated at all. We're not doing some kind of like, creature-based combo thing. It's all, theoretically speaking, at instant speed if the opponent doesn't have a Teferi out. And even if they do, if we have the 5 5 lands, and if we have the Breach plus Emrakul, they need a counter or they lose most of the time, which is actually pretty great. Either way, all rambling aside, I think we can keep this hand for sure. Triple Steam Vents is pretty hilarious. That's all of the Steam Vents in our entire deck. They keep 7, then they go Misty Rainforest. They pass, we draw. There's a dispute. I like that. Let's go Steam Vents untapped, and we will pass as well. They crack the Misty, they get a Triome. All right. Surprised we didn't see one of those last game. Then they go Island. Let's go Opt. Flooded Strand, no, we can put that on the bottom. And that is like the third time that has happened to me recently. Some of it was likely off camera, but the, quote unquote MTGO bug has been rampant recently. Now, of course, that could just be not real, but still, it's kind of weird. Let's go Steam Vents number 2. We'll pass. I could just be like misclicking horribly, but I really don't think that's the case. Either way, opponent's likely going to go Growth Spiral. I don't think we dispute that. That would be probably silly. Them ramping is a problem, but not enough of a problem. They crack the Misty. They get another Triome. All right, our opponent goes 3 mana, then Uro. Do we dispute that? That's tough, man. Why not? Slow them down just a little bit. I expect them to play another land. If they don't, that's going to be huge. And they do. Okay, Scalding Tarn. Little bit annoying, but that's okay. We draw. There's a Force. That's quite good. Let's go Steam Vents untapped. We're in a pretty good spot here, I think. We have half the combo. We've got plenty of ways to control the stack, the board, you name it. Opponent cracks the Scalding Tarn. They get a Breeding Pool. See what else they got. They draw for turn. They go Mystic Sanctuary. That's interesting. Plenty of value here. Oh, that's interesting. I don't think they actually chose to put the Growth Spiral back on top, so it was just a island, essentially. And then they put their companion into their hand. Let's take the opportunity to draw 2. It might get countered or remanded or something, but we'll have to see. Ooh, okay. Double Cryptic. We've got a remand of our own. This is quite good. There's a dispute as well. Okay. Well, let's go Flooded Strand, and we'll crack it. We'll get our own Mystic Sanctuary, and we'll get our Charm back. So now we can go Cryptic with Force backup, which is pretty insane. We can also go Force hardcasted with Dispute backup. We can go Remand with Dispute and Force backup. We have plenty of options here. And if our opponent just starts tapping out for huge dudes, I don't really see that working out well for them. They do play a field, though. That is relevant. So now we have a Charm as well. Gonna say it'll be a little bit hard to outvalue us from here, although they will be populating the board pretty aggressively. But Emrakul can get over the top, so that's less of an issue. Let's see what they decide to go with. They play a Temple Garden. They get a zombie. So let's go draw 2. Excellent. In fact, that is beyond excellent. So what do we want to do here? I don't think we get the Charm back, actually. I think we pass and hope to draw land so we can have Through the Breach with Force and Dispute backup. Double Breach, though, is effectively sort of the same thing. So that's kind of nice. Let's play the Stoneforge side of the Valakut card. And now we can just go Breach at the end of their turn. If it gets countered, whatever, Breach on our turn. I think we'll fight for the Breach on their turn, but I'm not like super worried about it. They go Path. They're ramping hard, and that's good for them for sure, but I don't know what they're looking for. They get a land. The zombie replaces itself. It's a good ramp spell, right? Like turn Path to exile into a ramp spell. That's just, a clever idea, but I don't know. I think we can get rid of one of these Cryptics, weirdly enough. You hate to do it, but each one of these is going to play its own role in some capacity. Opponent's got 5 cards in hand. They jam the Uro. Now the question is, do we go for the Cryptic? Cryptic with Dispute backup, go like counter draw, maybe even Force. Do we just save the Dispute for our turn? Actually, here's what I think we're going to do. Let's crack the Flooded Strand. Let's put a Dispute on top. Now, this will be interesting. We'll say yes, and we'll go counter draw. They're paying costs. They go hardcast Force. Since we know we're going to have a Dispute on top anyways, we're free to go Dispute this turn because we're just going to get another one. So then we get Dispute. Excellent. Okay. So now I'm almost convinced that we have this locked up. Even if they have a Force, they're tapped out. So they'll have to pitch it, and then they can't pay for the Dispute. So essentially what they would need is double Force. And since they just played a land and got a zombie, that means they don't have enough cards in hand to actually support that. And we have Remand as well. Either way, it's not durdle around here. Let's go Through the Breach. We jam the Emrakul. We swing in. Annihilator 6. They sack some zombies. They sack a Sanctuary, an island, another island. That's 5. And the field as well. All right, so we'll hit them for 15. We got them down to 2 life. We sack the Emrakul, shuffle effect. Our opponent draws for turn. So now a lightning bolt kills for sure. That's good. We are going to have to worry about this Uro. We're probably going to remand it, I guess. Eternal Witness, that's interesting. Let's remand it. We get an island. Ooh, and is that it? Nice. We draw for turn, and there's a lightning bolt. Awesome. So we've got Bolt with Force Dispute backup. We go for the Bolt, and they scoop it up. GG's. All right, and there you have it. Blue-red Through the Breach is always a joy to play. I definitely feel like this deck could use a little bit of tuning, but it definitely has potential. Truth be told though, I'm unsure about which direction to take it, so instead of me boring you all with the possibilities, let me know in the comment section how you feel about the deck and if you have any suggestions. I've got a slight channel update. I've been pretty behind on deck requests. Some of you guys have sent me messages or comments asking to play certain builds, and I do plan on rolling out new content in the coming weeks that hopefully meets those requests, but until then, I appreciate your patience. With that said, I made a Twitter account a little while back, so if anyone wants to get in contact with me, by all means tweet me at AnnihilatorMTG. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. These things really do help me immeasurably, so I want to thank you for that. And as always, stay safe out there and have a good one.